All right. Minister Green, God bless you, woman of God. Pastor Ron, God bless you. Nisha, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. God bless you. We're going to, on tonight, just go with part 2 of being whole and recovering from wounds. Thank you for logging on. You guys know most of the time I come on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock. The Lord gives me a subject to minister on. You can get information about me from wordofdeliverancemedia.org. That's my ministry, wordofdeliverancemedia.org. If you want me to come minister to your church or anything, wordofdeliverancemedia.org. And there is a form there for you if there's an engagement request if you want me to come and minister at your church. There's also a way that you can sow if you would like to sow on wordofdeliverancemedia.org. So most of the information about me is there. God bless you, Dee Dee and Brenda Rivers. God bless you. On last week, we talked about being whole. We talked about the woman who was at the well and her need to continue to reconnect with men. And we talked about that feeling of something missing. We talked about having a pie. And, life happens or something happens and it seems like it cuts the piece of pie. So that pie is gone. So we have to be careful what we replace those things with. When something is missing or something happens, we have to be careful what we replace that with, okay? So don't forget about next week. Or last week, rather, if you didn't see the one from last week or didn't finish it, go back and check out the broadcast from last week. Also, now, when I do a broadcast, now I am putting it on my YouTube page, which is Jason D. King. I'm putting it on my YouTube page, so you can go on my YouTube page and get these broadcasts. Also, if you have my app, and you can get that from wordofdeliverancemedia.org as well. If you have my app on your phone, God bless you. God bless you. Amen. I see my niece. Amen. Bless you, Rona. Bless you, Monique. Bless you, Jessica. Bless you, Sister Nita. I love you. Appreciate you and all the support you've done through the years with my ministry. Appreciate you all. Okay. So you can go to Jason D. King, my YouTube page, and all of these are being downloaded on there. As you guys keep praying for me, this is just something the Lord has allowed me to do a little over a year ago. I stopped pastoring, and I'm only doing that until the Lord opens another door. So for those of you who believe in me, who are connected to me and still want to be connected, I'm just believing for the Lord to open another door. But to keep in touch with those who believe in me, who want to receive from me, I do this once a week so that they are hearing from me, and I appreciate all of you. Before we go into it, if you can, just hit the share button. Hit the share button for me so we can make maximum impact and bless as many lives as possible. All right, so we're talking about recovering from wounds. Last week we dealt with being whole. Recovering from wounds is a two-part thing. We talked about being whole last week, and on this week we are going to deal with recovering from wounds. Now, a wound for tonight, for our purposes, is an emotional, mental, or psychological injury caused by negative events. An emotional, mental, or psychological injury caused by negative events. All right. God bless you, Kahonda and Clarence. Amen. Phil, God bless you, Ed. All right. So that's what we're dealing with tonight. How wound. There's something negative happened, and it's an emotional, mental, or psychological. It's an injury. Okay. Something happened. Something negative happened. Some event in our life caused some hurt, caused some damage, and cause us not to be the same, all right? And the trauma from that event has left us wounded. The trauma from whatever that event is that happened has left us hurt. And the truth of the matter is it hurts. And we have to be truthful to ourselves. We got to be real with ourselves and say, listen, this thing hurt. It hurt me. I didn't know that I was affected in some ways, but this thing hurt me, all right? I've been affected in a negative way. And listen, it affected us somehow. All right. It may be that, a parent or a loved one died and it affected us somehow. A relationship they wanted to work didn't work out. It affected us somehow. Your parents got divorced when you were young. It affected you somehow. All right. And you have to be willing to say, you know what? This thing affected me, or that thing affected me, or what happened, it was negative and it has had an effect on my life. I'm hurt by it. I am not the same. I don't feel the same. I don't act the same. I'm not the same. I'm not the same me. I don't have the same energy. I don't have the same charisma. I don't have the same outlook on life. And we're going to have to just come to some grips, brother and sister, that some things have happened to have us wounded. How do I know that I'm wounded? It hurts by touching the area. All right. It hurts dealing with the situation. It hurts remembering it. It hurts talking about it. It hurts thinking about it. Here it is. I'm bleeding, meaning that I have lost life or energy, okay, in a certain area in my life. All right. How do I know that I'm wounded? It hurts. It hurts me emotionally. It hurts me mentally. I'm bleeding. I don't have the energy like I used to have. I'm wounded. My love don't seem to be the same as it used to be. I am wounded. And guess what? Sometimes we are wounded and don't even know that we are wounded. We are the walking wounded. All right, we wounded, we bleeding all over the place, and we don't even know. So tonight we want to identify some ways that we may be wounded and also identify some ways to recover from the wound. Now listen, sometimes somebody else will identify that you're wounded. All right. If you remember, maybe some old war movies or some action movie, okay, somebody could be fighting or whatever, and somebody will say, well, hey, you're bleeding. They didn't notice they were bleeding. The adrenaline of continuing to go on and do what they're doing allowed them to do that, but they were wounded in an area. They were bleeding in an area. And the truth of the matter is sometimes that there are others that see where we are wounded and we don't even see it. Now, let me help you right here. They're not trying to insult you, my brother or my sister. They're not trying to handle you any old type of way, my brother and sister. They are not trying to play you, but they sometimes, your inner circle sometimes will see things on you that you don't see on yourself. And we have to be careful of pushing people away that are actually trying to help us. We got to be careful that they see the wound on us. They are trying to help us as our family members. They are trying to help us as our friends. And we have to be careful to not push people away who are trying to help you, okay? How do I know that I'm wounded? It hurts. I've lost life and energy. I've lost interest in a certain thing I used to have a lot of interest in. I've lost my zeal. I've lost my love about stuff that I used to have a whole lot of love for, and it is a sign that I'm wounded, all right? So let's try to target where we may be wounded. Let's try to target that, okay? Where we may be wounded, or some signs that we are wounded, all right? Number one, we are defensive. We are defensive, all right? When you are wounded, you put your guard up, okay? I'm wounded here, so I'm going to be defensive and protecting in that area. All right, I'm going to be defensive and protecting in that area. My wife and I were watching Yanla a while ago, and there was a lady on there, and she had convinced all her daughters that their father did something bad to them, okay? Come to find out it was not the truth, and the truth of the matter is she was wounded that way in her when she was young, so she became defensive and protective with her children. All right. And we have to be careful, because if we don't make the adjustment and get healings for our wounds, we could end up wounding other people. And that's what she did. Because she didn't get healed from her wounds, she caused wounds with her children, all right? And I need to talk to you on tonight to say, listen, we got to get ourselves together. We have to address our wounds. We have to deal with us, because if we don't, we will end up wounding other people, all right? But we get defensive, okay? Because we're wounded, we get defensive. And you can know maybe where you're wounded, where you get defensive at in certain areas, all right? Also, when we're defensive means that we're very anxious to challenge or avoid criticism, okay? Nobody can tell you anything, and you have to be careful with that. It is a sign that you could be wounded. Rejection is a wound that will cause you not to receive any criticism, even if that criticism is in your best interest. And you have to be careful of being defensive. You have to be careful. Thank you, Carlos, for sharing. Those of you who are sharing, Lawana, Zeb, appreciate you guys. You got to be careful of being defensive, because the only reason you're defensive in that area, you're very defensive, is because you may have been wounded in that area. All right? Sign that I'm wounded. Being overly aggressive can be a sign that I am wounded. All right? Some people who have been taken advantage of, they turn it a whole complete 180, and now they are overly aggressive, or they take advantage of others. Some people who have been victims, now they become the antagonists. And when an animal in the wild is wounded, when something gets close, it becomes overly aggressive. Or I don't want anybody to see my wound. All right. I don't want anybody to discover, here it is, where I may be weak. I'm going to help you right here. Because sometimes when we are wounded, we don't want others to take it for weakness. So we will become overly aggressive, and we will push people away. And see, we don't want to be truthful with that. But the truth of the matter is, sometimes we will push other people away, and the real reason behind that is we don't want them to find out that we were wounded. I'm going to put up this big front. I'm going to put up this tough guy, this tough woman mentality, and be aggressive. And the truth of the matter is, I have been hurt somewhere down in my life, somewhere in the past, I have been hurt, and now I am overly aggressive to keep other people away from seeing my wound. I hope I'm helping somebody. Okay, I hope I'm helping somebody. That we become overly aggressive. We don't want anyone to know that we are weak. We don't want anyone to realize that we are wounded. So we don't allow people to get close. And I want to help somebody on tonight where you may be a person that does not allow people to get close to you, does not allow people to help you, won't let anybody in, and you aggressively push them away. And I want you to be careful, because you may be doing that because you're wounded, and you may not even know that you are wounding. From this aggression also comes anger. All right? Being angry, and I'm angry about what happened. Here it is, and I haven't forgiven. I'm wounded. I'm angry about what happened in my life, and I haven't forgiven, nor have I found any resolve about what happened to me. And the truth is, I'm carrying around the pain of the past. I'm carrying around all that stuff, what happens to me, and I am the walking wounded. My brother, my sister, it's not normal to be angry all of the time. It is not normal to be in a bad mood all of the time. It is not normal for people to have to walk around on eggshells around us, okay? And listen, many of us know those type of people. You don't know, we even got some of them on our job. We don't know how they're going to react in the morning. And listen, and if you are one of those people that people don't know how to approach you, people don't know, here it is, what to say or what they're going to say that might make you go off and get angry and get upset. The truth of the matter is that you may be wounded, all right? And you're going to have to deal with that wound, all right? Nobody wants to deal. You have to be careful, all right, of being one of those people, all right? Being one of those people You have to be careful being one of those people nobody don't want to deal with, nobody don't want to talk to. Okay, they tell you to go talk to you and the person doesn't know how to approach you. That is not good, my brother and my sister. And we could be wounded, and God has made us to be interdependent, meaning that we need one another. You cannot live on an island all by yourself. You can't keep pushing people away with being angry, with being aggressive, with being defensive, and having an attitude. Okay, God has made us to be independent. We need each other. And be careful. Thank you, Chanel. Hello. Be careful that you are not allowing your wound to cause you to push away great people in your life. All right? How do I know that I'm wounded? Crying all the time and being emotionally unstable. Crying is just pain that's coming up from the inside. And not just crying, but listen, uncontrolled crying sometimes. Just breaking down crying sometimes. It is an indicator that I have been wounded. It's an indicator that I've been injured, that something happened to me that is not resolved, and I am still hurting from that thing. I am still injured from that thing. Here it is. I know y'all not going to like this. Another indicator of being wounded: mood swings. All right? Back and forth, up and down, angry, depressed, frustrated, happy, sad, quiet. We don't know what kind of mood we're going to find ourselves in, or people don't know what kind of mood they're going to find us in, and it is an indicator that we have been wounded. For those of you that come in for purposes of this, you know, a wound, all right, is an injury, an emotional, a mental, a psychological injury from a negative event that happened to us, all right? But some of us, we got these mood swings, okay? We happy one day, the next day we depressed. And it's an ongoing cycle. And the truth of the matter is we could be wounded, all right? Listen, we just can't stay wounded. We just can't stay hurt. We just can't live our life hurt all the time. The devil is a liar. We cannot live our life bleeding all the time. It is not the life that God wants us to live. We cannot live our life unhappy, depressed, and frustrated or angry all the time. It is not the way that God wants us to live, all right? We just can't continue to be a victim of what happened to us, all right? We got to get treatment. We have to get treatment. We just can't walk away with a stab wound of the negative event that has happened to us in our life, and we refuse to get treatment, all right? We need help. And I said we. I'm not coming down on you. I'm not trying to make you feel some type of way. We need help. When life hits us, when we are wounded because of negative situations that have happened to us in our life, when we are wounded because our expectations have not been met, we need to check in, amen, and get the treatment that we need. And listen, we all need help from time to time, all right? Listen, to get treatment, I have to be vulnerable. To get treatment, I have to be vulnerable. Most of the time when I'm wounded, I'm covering my wound. I'm covering it, okay? I'm protecting it. I'm defensive. But if I need to get treatment, I'm going to have to open up that wound and be vulnerable, all right? It's hard to do because we're busy protecting our hurt. We're busy protecting our pain. But if we're going to get healed, if we're going to get treatment from life's issues that have happened to us, we are going to have to be vulnerable to God, and we also going to have to let others in. We are going to have to, listen, expose the wound. If we are going to be healed, we're going to have to expose the wound. If we're going to get delivered from this thing, we're going to have to expose the wound. And it's time for us, I hear God right here, to stop hiding from what hurt us. We're going to have to expose it. It is what it is. I'm injured from this negative thing that happened in my life. I'm hurt from this negative thing that happened in my life. I'm wounded because my expectations were not met and my feelings are hurt. I'm wounded wounded mentally. I'm frustrated. I'm going through depression because of how long I may have been going through what I've been going through. And if you and I are going to get healed, we have to get treatment. We have to expose our wounds. All right. We got to stop being defensive. We got to stop lying to ourselves. We have to stop acting like everything is all right. We walking around with crutches. We walking around with an arm sling on. We walking around bleeding. We got a Band-Aid on something that need to be stitched up. We got to expose that wound and give treatment. Thank you, Libra. I'm glad I'm talking to somebody. All right. We got to expose it. Now listen, this is very, very, very important. When someone lets you in, confidentiality is a must. When someone who is wounded, leaders, supervisors, managers, friends, when someone who is wounded, bless you, Apostle Thomas, when someone who is wounded lets you in, when they are hurt in this area, they've been defensive, they've been covering this area, all right, they've been aggressive and angry, they are ready to get treatment, they decide to let you in, confidentiality is a must. What are you saying? If you are helping someone, all right, if someone exposes their wound to you, you got to sign the spiritual HIPAA. When someone, yes sir, when someone exposes their wound to you, you cannot expose what they are going through to everybody else. And the truth of the matter is, many people who need help, who sometimes even want help, will not talk to us, will not expose themselves to others because they are afraid that when they expose themselves to you, that you are going to violate the spiritual HIPAA and tell other people their business. Y'all ain't working with me on this one right here. And they decided to, look, I'm just going to stay defensive. I'm not going to tell anybody anymore. The last time I trusted somebody, they told all my business. And I want to talk to somebody tonight that has been mishandled. When you have exposed your wound, I want to talk to someone that's been mishandled. That listen, don't stay wounded. Find another doctor. Find another friend. Let God lead you to someone else who can help you, all right, and not violate the terms of what's going on, not violate your trust, all right? When someone's telling you what's going on with them, all right, keep that to yourself. Help them. Keep it to yourself, all right? I understand if it's a suicidal thing that you may have to do. There's certain issues where you have to involve other people. But listen, we got to stop being busybodies. We got to stop being gossipers. When people need help and God may have led them to us, we have to learn how to keep what they tell us private. Pastors, you got to learn how to keep that private, all right? When people expose themselves to you, and I'm glad I'm helping some of y'all, all right? All right, we ain't got much left, all right? When you let your guard down and become vulnerable, listen, it's going to hurt for someone else to touch it, but it is necessary for the healing. I know it's hurting. That's why you've been guarding it. You've been protecting your wound, all right? It's going to hurt for someone else to get involved. It's going to hurt for the nurse to come in, the doctor to come in and see what's going on. They may have to touch around it. It's going to hurt, but I need you to understand that the hurt is necessary to help with your healing. It is necessary. When you put antiseptic or alcohol on the wound, it may hurt, but it's necessary to cleanse that wound and keep further bacteria from spreading. And sometimes you and I don't get the healing that we need is because it hurts when we expose the wound. But if you don't expose the wound, you cannot get the treatment that you need. And I hear God right here. Sometimes the first person you got to expose the wound to is yourself. You have to stop acting like everything is all right. I need to tell you that you don't have to be superwoman, that you don't have to be Superman, all right, that life happens to us all, that we are not perfect and we don't have to act like everything is all right. It is okay for you to have a moment. It is okay for you to have a day. You don't have to be Superman, Superwoman when you got the God to lean on and a God to guide you and a God to heal you. You don't have to act like everything is all right. Sometimes you got to raise your hand to yourself and say, Lord, I need help. Lord, this is my issue. Lord, I have an issue. And listen, tonight, if you want the treatment, if you want to be healed, you got to be real with yourself first. All right? All right. Now listen, if anybody has ever had surgery, all right, you have surgery because there is something deeply wrong that needs to be adjusted. And you and I have had or have wounds, and it has deeply hurt us, and it needs to be adjusted. It needs to be healed. It needs to be taken care of. Bless you, Beverly. Bless you, Monique. Bless you, Mother Austin. We got wounds, and it needs to be taken care of. All right. Now, listen, you have to make the choice whether you're going to stay injured and operate at 60%, or you're going to be hurt for a little while by getting surgery so you can get back to 95 or 100%. You are going to have to make that decision. Am I going to stay in my feelings? Am I going to stay wounded? Am I going to stay the victim of what happened to me and just operate on 60% of my potential? I'm not going to get the surgery. I'm going to keep the cast on. I'm going to keep on crutches. I'm not going to expose myself to God or expose myself to the people that can help me. Are you going to continue to be handicapped in your life? Are you going to continue to walk around mentally and emotionally handicapped, mentally and emotionally bleeding? Or will you check yourself in to the altar of God and allow God to do surgery on you? And I want to speak tonight that, listen, we got to check ourselves in. When we discover that we got wounds from life's negative situations, we got to stop covering it. We got to check ourselves in. Listen, and sometimes you got to get a friend to take you to the hospital. Some of y'all need to be thankful that God has blessed you with some good friends that will say, listen, you're wounded. Let me take you to the hospital. Stop fighting them friends off. Stop being aggressive to those friends. Those people love you enough to tell you the truth. You're bleeding and you don't see it. And those people that God has put in your life will allow you to know, hey, you bleeding. Let me hold my hand here. It's going to hurt, but let me hold my hand here while I help you with this situation. And we going to get you to the doctor. Listen, we got to check into surgery. We got to check into surgery. I got some stuff going on with me. I'm bleeding from some places. Bless you, Michael and Santuan. I'm bleeding from some places. I got to check into surgery. Some stuff is going on and it's affecting my marriage. I got to check into surgery. Some stuff is happening and it's affecting my relationship with my children. I got to check into surgery. Some things are going on with me and I can't stay on a job long because of some wounds that have happened and I can't seem to get along with other people. I got to check into surgery. And on tonight, my brother and my sister, I want to tell you, listen, you got to expose that thing to God. It hurts, but listen, it's going to hurt if you're going to get the healing that you need. And I want to speak to somebody tonight. Life happens to us all, okay? Life gives us wounds, all right? But it doesn't mean that God doesn't love you. Life gives us wounds. Life happens, and it doesn't mean that God doesn't love you. Just because you're going through something doesn't mean God doesn't love you. God doesn't remove every mountain, but he gives us strength to go over the mountain. God doesn't remove every obstacle, but he gives us, amen, the strength, and he'll love us enough and help us enough to get over over every situation. And some of you on tonight are just saying, God, remove this. But God says, I'm going to give you the strength to get through it. You saying, God, I don't want to deal with it. Lord, I just don't want to live anymore. God, the devil is a liar. God says, I will strengthen you enough to get over this thing. And I know many of us have traumatic issues that we go through in life, and we just feel like just laying down and saying, you know what, that's enough, that's it, I can't take it no more. But I speak life into your situation right now. I speak the very life of God into your situation. You will not lay down, you will not quit, you will not give up, you will not throw in the towel, and you definitely will not take your life, because your life is worth the living, and God will strengthen you enough to get you through the situation. I need you, brother and sister, to expose that wound and check in the surgery. So here it is. Put that wound on the altar. I'm here to tell you, put that wound on the altar. All right, put it on the altar of prayer. All right, put it on the altar of prayer. All right, and we have to get back to learning how to pray. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop getting mad that nobody called you and prayed for you. Stop feeling upset that nobody called you out in church and nobody put you in the prophecy line. Stop feeling mad that you walked around everybody in church, all right, and nobody picked up on what was going on with you. Listen, you know God for yourself. You know the word of prayer, and you, brother and sister, going to have to start praying for yourself. You got to stop feeling sorry for yourself. Bless you, Jane. Bless you, Leroy. I love y'all. You're going to have to stop feeling sorry for yourself and start praying for yourself. Now, of course, I'm going to pray for you tonight because that's what I do. But you got to put your wound on the altar. Lord, this thing hurt me. The breakup hurt me. Lord, the divorce hurt me. Lord, the marital issues hurt me. Lord, my issue with my father or my mother hurt me. Lord, my issue with my child's father, my child's mother hurt me. Lord, this stuff that's going on the job hurt me. Lord, me losing my job hurt me. Lord, the issues I've had in church hurt me. You got to be real with this thing. Stop being defensive. Put it on the altar and say, Lord, it hurt me and I need your help. You got to learn how to cry out to God. Cry out to God and say, Lord, I need your help. Lord, I need you to help me. And listen, you need to log off Facebook. You need to log off Instagram. You need to get off Twitter for a little while. You need to turn off your Netflix, turn off your TV. Find a quiet place in your house and say, Lord, I need your help. You need to pull your car over somewhere, out of danger's way, in a parking lot somewhere, in Walmart parking lot, and lift your hands and say, Lord, I need your help. Lord, I need you to heal my heart. Lord, I need you to come in and fix my mind. Lord, I need your peace that surpasses all understanding, because I feel like I'm about to lose my mind. And my brother, my sister, I'm a living witness that when you are so wounded and you feel like you can't take any more, that the very Spirit of the living God, when you cry out to God, will come into your situation, will come into your car, will come into your bedroom, will come into your secret closet, will come into your cubicle and meet you where you are. But